You guys are back out here on the F-150 project. We're trying to get this thing to idle a little better. Got a bad vacuum leak. It's just running really rough. It's running really rich, actually. We're going to do some adjustments here. We're going to get rid of some of this, all these extra vacuum lines that aren't needed. We're going to make the wires for the electric choke a little longer because they're pretty tight. We actually plan on doing a 4-barrel intake manifold and the header on this later on here, so if we clean this up, it's just going to help us out in the process. So bear with us as we start taking stuff off and get this thing fired up a little later on. Well, did I go too far? I started just trying to mess with the vacuum leaks, and then I just decided, nah. Let's take this thing all the way down, eliminate all that nonsense. We're going to get some plugs to the exhaust. Right there, plug that off. Get me a spacer for the carburetor. Put the carburetor back on. We're just going to have to get us, really just need the vacuum line to tie in my vacuum advance for the distributor, and we'll get the vacuum advance for the vacuum booster for the brakes. And then the only other thing we're going to do, we'll get some breathers here, eliminate all that nonsense, and then we'll cap off these extra vacuum lines that we're not using. But that should help us out here a lot. And get this thing so it's running decent and not having any issues. And plus it cleans it up, get more room, so when I do put the Offenhauser intake on and the header, it's pretty much half torn down. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. I don't know what's wrong with this thing. I got a vacuum leak. I'm just going to fix this once and for all. Let's see if we can find this problem. Not that. Not that. Maybe it's this thing. I don't think we need that. How about this? That's this junk. I don't think we need this. Weight reduction. That's what we needed. New carburetor gasket. All the vacuum lines gone. That extra weight out of here. We'll be in business in no time. Hey guys, we're out here working on the F-150. As you saw earlier, we're just kind of ripping some parts off in here. Having a little fun with it, but what we're doing, we eliminated a lot of the pollution stuff. We're going to upgrade to a different intake in the future here, but for now we're just kind of cleaning things up. I did go and pick up a HEI distributor. We're going to get rid of the points and coil setup we got now. You go to a HEI, like I said, put a little chrome air cleaner on the carburetor and get everything tuned up here. So stay tuned. We'll show you the new distributor in lately. I'll try and walk you through it as we get going here, but shouldn't take us long to do. Hey guys, so let's get started on this HEI swap out here. We're going to take the original distributor out, swap it over to the HEI, get rid of the coil. First thing I want to do, we're going to do top dead center on our spark plug, but just to help us keep a track where the vacuum advance was, our firing order, all that stuff, we're doing going to mark this quick. I suggest, if you don't know your firing order, to tape each of your spark plug wires, label them. We actually pulled it up in the book, so we'll have the firing order. It's not a big deal. We know which one number one's going to be, so it'll all be good. But I just like to mark where that vacuum advance is. So we're just going to pick anything that lines up with it to kind of get us an idea. And then we'll start pulling things off and getting this set up. The other thing we're doing, we're taking this coil off. Do that, I'm going to get rid of all these extra brackets. The old bracket for the air cleaner. Get this stuff out of the way. This coil out of there. Alright, let's start off by taking some of these brackets out of the way. We're not going to be using anymore. It's amazing the room we got in this thing. What we're looking at doing, guys, is upgrading this to a Offenhauser intake. You know, we're either going to put a 650 quick fuel on here or a Holley 500 CFM 2-barrel. Haven't decided yet. And then Going with the straight header on this thing. Get rid of the stock exhaust manifold. So this thing will breathe a little better. We got some new breathers for the valve cover too. Okay, so that's out of the way. Another one wire off. For now, let's just leave that out of the way for a minute until we get this off. We're going to get this coil bracket off. Just pop this coil wire off first here. And then this just clips on here. Set that down out of the way for now. Spend more time looking for tools than anything else. Okay, coils out of the way, brackets out of the way. Well guys, Amazon strikes again. Went to put the new distributor in and it's not the right one. Got everything out, got motor on top dead center. Got the coil out of the way, kind of cleaned up the side of the engine. We'll maybe paint that cover and stuff before we put it back on. But yeah, we're waiting for, gonna have to go inside and send this one back and order the new distributor. Well, at least the air cleaner fit. So you have to get a little nut for the top of it, but it just looks so impressive, that giant 4-inch air cleaner. Hey guys, welcome to the garage again. We're out here working on the F-150 today. Couple things we got going on. I bought a new starter for this thing a few months ago. Starter is already junk. Bought it from AutoZone, has a warranty on it. They replaced it fine, but pretty disappointed that it only lasts a couple months. So here's the new starter we're putting in. The other thing we're doing today, we want to eliminate that Ford ignition module and get more consistent sparks. So we bought ourselves a HEI Chevy style distributor. The Ford lower on it. Put that in there, give us more constant spark. We can get rid of that electronic ignition module that Ford has. It usually gives people a lot of grief. So that's our second project for the day. Stay tuned, we'll show you getting the starter in. Obviously the starter's pretty simple. You got one wire and 2 bolts on the thing. It literally takes 10 minutes to put in. And this thing here, we got our motor on top dead centered ready. This is ready to drop in. We're going to pull the cap off so we get the rotor in the right position. And then we'll set that in and start running our wires. Nice thing with this thing is the 2-wire setup. Actually, it's one if you think about it. 12 volt positive. The other wire on here is for your tach, back in advance. So it should be pretty straightforward. It shouldn't take so long. Okay guys, so let's talk starters. With the Ford starter, you have your solenoid that's mounted to the firewall instead of on the starter like a GM starter. So really the only thing we got to do is stick our hot lead right here, bolt our 2 starter bolts into the motor, and we're good to go. Okay guys, so I didn't see much on YouTube or anywhere else as far as when you eliminate this box here doing the HEI, nobody really explains it much. So basically you have 2 wire connectors coming into the firewall. There's that gray one up there, right there, and that connects to your oil sending unit. I think the temp gauge is the other one on there. And then there's the green wire that's tied into that, which also goes to the other connector here off your box. But if you look, that gray connector and this connector here, this bottom connector right there is what plugs into this ignition module. Okay, that bottom one, the 2-wire plug there, should be our power coming in. And the other plug is our power going out, which goes over to the
your old distributor. So we're going to eliminate this box. We'll make sure we have 12 volts coming from this. Make sure we have 12 volts coming from this plug here. As long as we do when we turn the key on, that'll be our power source for our new HEI. We'll run a wire and get that all connected. This plug here, we should be able to connect them wires back up. I got them labeled. So the wires that come off of that is your yellow and red, and then a red wire, which are your temp sensor and oil pressure. So we'll hook them back up. That'll get plugged back in. The only one we need to separate is the green, which ties into the ignition module. Green wire was for your tach, sorry, that tied into the old distributor. So on the new one, we'll run a separate wire for the tach. This one doesn't have it. Well, we'll have to double check. I'm not sure if this one has a tach or not. Okay, so like I said, the green wire is for the tach. We don't have a tach to worry about, so we're going to leave that off. If we want to add a tach later, it'll go under the dash somewhere, and we'll run a wire for it to the new HEI. So let's get rid of this electronic control module, and we'll start cutting our wires in, and then we'll get our distributor set in. Okay guys, so we're just about ready to stuff this distributor in there. I got the rag covering the hole right now. One thing to remember when you're pulling the old distributor out, make sure that hex shaft, you're very careful, lift it straight up, because that hex shaft that comes out with the distributor, you do not want that thing to fall down, because it'll drop down and it could end up in the bottom of your oil pan. We've had this one out a couple times, so the shaft's down in the oil pump where it belongs. This should slide in pretty easily, but just be really careful with that. So we marked here where number one's going to be on our cap. I got my rotor pointing at it. You're going to get this. We'll start setting this down. We're going to actually move the rotor a little bit before that, so when the spline of the gear drops down in, it actually moves there. So we'll go like this, get it somewhere in there, and then when that bottom shaft, look at that spline, it's going to lock into place. It'll be lined up with number one. Our motor is on top dead center, so we're going to stuff this in there, and we'll put the cap and stuff on when we're done, see where we're at. Okay, so we got our rotor lined up with our mark for number one where we want it. Motor's on top dead center. Our vacuum advance is pointing in the direction we want it to be, so we got plenty of adjustment there to advance and retard that distributor a little bit. Now we're going to get this tightened down and we'll see where we're at here. Alright, first before we do that though, let's take a look at our timing marks. Make sure they're clear and visible so we can read them. We'll mark them or highlight them so when we set the timing later we can line it up. Alright guys, so we got the distributor in, we got our rotor on pointing on number one where we want it. We got all our plug wires on. The plug wires look awful. I don't like how they're done. We're going to get some custom wires that we make our own. Get them colored to match the motor, all that fun stuff. But for now, we're just trying to get this thing running good. So we got everything ran wire-wise for the spark plugs. Now I just got to run my 12-volt wire from that plug that powered the control module originally, ignition module, to the battery side of the HEI. So it's on only when the key's on. Then later on, like I said, we can add the tach wire if we want to. So we're going to get that wire made up, and then we'll give this a try. Yeah, you see this wire right here. Make sure your connections are super good on all your wires, but I also like to take that shrink tube and heat it up and get it on there. That just seals everything in, and you don't have to worry about the wires pulling apart. It takes you a few seconds extra to do that. And obviously you can see the connector how short it is. I always overdo it at the length just to keep the moisture out. But just a good idea. We also shrunk wrapped the other end of the connector. As you can see, another 3 times more than I needed, but I just wanted it cleaned up. And once we get done here, we're going to take some of that wire loom, plastic wire loom, and put all the wires in there so they're nice and clean. But just for now, we'll get this thing powered up and we'll try it and see where we're at. The other thing we're going to do, guys, before we plug this connector into our distributor, we're just going to make sure, just double check that we have 12 volts power when we turn the key on and when we turn it off. So we're going to hook our test light to it, and we'll show you that in a second. Key on, you can see our test light working just fine. Then with key off, we're trying to make sure the power goes off with it. You can see our test light's dead. So we got 12-volt ignition wired to the coil once we plug this wire in. So we should be good there. Hey guys, as you can see, the wiring for the HEI worked great. The truck started right up. We got some other issues to work out, but the wiring worked great, and the HEI distributor was a big upgrade. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.